girl with a preppy vibe. Came to the spot with a friend of mine. She caught my eye. From the beginning, I was hooked. I can't tell a lie. Fresh, dressed, and fly. I respect her mind. Some dude trying to impress, but looking goofy at the same time. He bugging, she looking. I'm going for mine. Confidently, I approach with that eye-to-eye contact. She smiling while adjusting her hair, so I smile back. Pretty girl, what's your name? She said, is that true? Cause if it is, your name perfect for you. My name handsome. She said your name fits you too. See, we was clicking, and after that, time just flew. Then that time came to talk to her pops. He gave his blessing, and then that mind frame I had was honoring and protecting. I knew she was the one when we met. I found my future girl, and no other woman compares to my girl.
Hey y'all, welcome to the check-in Snow Night edition. So I decided to go ahead and pop on with you guys because I'm like, you know what? There's so much going on and it's snowing outside. I can't do anything else. So why not be on live and do some things and hanging out with y'all, okay? So anyway, with that being said, let me get myself a little bit more comfortable. But yes, it started snowing here about 4 p.m. my time, and it's still doing it lightly. It did stick a little bit, okay? So I said, you know what? I am not going out in this weather. All right. So we're gonna have a lot of different things to talk about tonight. We're gonna talk about the um the shooting at Mar-a-Lago, the tariffs. We'll talk about the Black History Month celebration at the White House, and maybe a little bit of a Miss Nancy Guthrie update. Okay. So with that, let's go ahead and get into Mar-a-Lago. So if you have not heard, a young man had went to Mar-a-Lago, I want to say early this morning, with a pistol and a can of gas, okay? And let me tell you, they neutralized the threat, all right? So let's go ahead and hear about that.
The Secret Service says a man in his early 20s carrying what appeared to be a shotgun and a fuel can entered a restricted area around Trump's Palm Beach, Florida home early this morning before he was shot and killed by authorities. I want to bring in CNN's Julia Benbrook. She's at the White House. So, Julia, how is the president's team responding to this?
Yeah, the most important thing to note here is that President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump, they were here at the White House at the time of this incident, but they travel often to their Mar-a-Lago estate. In fact, the president has been there almost every weekend in recent weeks. During a press briefing that took place earlier today, the Palm Beach County Sheriff, Rick Bradshaw, standing with representatives from the FBI and Secret Service, he detailed what they know now. He said,
So I wonder if the young man was tracking that the president had been going to Mar-a-Lago pretty much every weekend for the last several weeks. But I guess we'll see what they come up with in their investigation. Let's get back to this.
Said that a man around 1:30 in the morning made it into the perimeter at Mar-a-Lago and that a deputy and 2 Secret Service agents on the detail went to investigate. Take a listen.
So I wonder, how did this young man get onto the property of Mar-a-Lago? I would assume that it would be somewhat secured, right? So yeah, yeah. And so they saw him get on the property and then they, addressed him, right? But how did he get on that property to begin with? So let's see if they let us know anything about that.
They confronted a white male that was carrying a gas can and a shotgun. He was ordered to drop those 2 pieces of equipment that he had with him, at which time he put down the gas can, raised the shotgun to a shooting position. At that point in time, the deputy and the 2 Secret Service agents fired their weapons and neutralized the threat. He is deceased at the scene.
Authorities have said that this man was in his early 20s and from North Carolina. He was reported missing recently by a family member. Now, the sheriff did say that his deputies are always wearing body cameras, and so we could see some of that footage in the future there. But the FBI is the lead agency on this. They will be responsible for handling any questions going forward. And we did hear from FBI Director.
Let me say this. The fact that they asked him to put down the gas can and the pistol, and he put down the gas can, but he raised that pistol into shooting position, posture, that sounds like death by cop. Like he must have came there for that, because you're not going to sit there and be at the president's personal property, raise your pistol, and think that you're going to walk away from this situation. But what do you all think? For those who are just getting in, welcome to the check-in. We're now talking about the Mar-a-Lago shooting that occurred early this morning. Let's continue.
Tell a little while ago, he posted on social media. He said, quote, "The FBI is dedicating all necessary resources in the investigation of this morning's incident at President Trump's Mar-a-Lago, where an armed individual was shot and killed after unlawfully entering the perimeter. We will continue working closely with Secret Service as well as state and federal partners, and will provide updates as we are able." They are currently processing the scene and analyzing any evidence. They've also asked people in the area that if they have any doorbell camera footage that does seem suspicious, could be related to this, that they should contact authorities.
All right. Thank you, Julia. Still a lot of questions at this point. I want to bring in CNN Chief Law Enforcement and Intelligence Analyst John Miller.
So they just mentioned about having people provide like footage from their Ring cameras, things like that. Remember, they asked about that of the neighbors for Miss Nancy Guthrie's case as well. So I guess that's going to be a new source of information going forward, getting Ring camera footage and things like that. So thought that was interesting. And it makes sense because this man came from North Carolina. I'm sure he has been in the area, well before 1:30 this morning.
You've been talking to your sources here. What does this investigation look like at this point?
Well, what they're trying to do, Omar, is to backtrack through the last 24 hours or more since this individual was reported missing. He's a 22-year-old man from the area of Cameron, North Carolina, and it appears he drove there to Mar-a-Lago. One of the things that was found in the vehicle, his Volkswagen SUV, was the box for the shotgun. So investigators believe that he left his North Carolina home, stopped along the way perhaps, and purchased that shotgun and the gasoline, and then drove to Mar-a-Lago. One of the questions is, how did he get into that perimeter? It appears that as an employee was leaving and opened the gate to walk out, he caught the gate and walked in. He made it about 20 to 30 yards before he was confronted in that perimeter by two Secret Service agents and a deputy Palm Beach County sheriff. And as the sheriff said, according to their report, and the deputy does have body camera, as he was ordered to put down the shotgun and the gas can, he put down the gas can, raised the shotgun into a firing position, and all three, both agents and the deputy, fired, killing him.
Do we know if the shotgun was loaded? I mean, obviously pointing a weapon at law enforcement, it prompts the reaction that they had here. But just on the back end of this, do we know if that shotgun was actually loaded?
It's a good question, Omar, because as you point out, there's no way that those law enforcement officers would have known by seeing the shotgun whether it was loaded when it was pointed at them. But the question goes directly to what was his intent of going into that perimeter? Did he know that President Trump wasn't there and was at the White House? Was his specific intent suicide by cop, which we've seen in a number of these incidences where people cause the police because of their own depression, mental health issues, whatever it is, to take their lives. Whether or not that shotgun is loaded will give us a better indicator of that when we find that information out from the FBI.
So yeah, I would assume that the pistol would be loaded. I mean, why would you make the effort to get onto the property of Mar-a-Lago with an empty pistol and a gas can? I'm assuming that the gas can had gas in it, and he probably had some kind of fire source on him as well, right? So I'll be interested to see the body cam footage as well as whatever they come out of this investigation with as well. What do you guys think?
But right now, I don't know the answer to that, but it's a good question.
Yeah, a lot of questions still in this early stages of the investigation. John Miller.
So yeah, how many times have they tried to? I would look at this as an attack on the president, right? I mean, because he didn't know if the man was there or not. They just said that he has been going to Mar-a-Lago pretty much every weekend for the last few weeks, right? So my question is, how many times has this man been the target of an assassination attempt? Let me look that up real quick. If you guys know in the chat, let me know. You might be quicker. That's why you have to switch up your routine, because when people kind of figure out what your patterns are, they do stuff like this. You got to keep people guessing. You can't keep doing the same type of you can't be consistent with your actions because people are watching. Yes, very much so watching. Um let's see. There's been quite a few. There was a 2016 incident in Dayton, Ohio. There was one in Pennsylvania in 2024. There was one in Las Vegas. Lord, that's quite a bit, isn't it? I mean, that's more than what I thought it was going to be. Okay, so we have a former FBI agent that's providing some insight into what's going on and what they see with these different attempts on President Trump and his family's life. So let's get into that. This
Good
is
Sunday morning,
crazy.
everyone. Welcome to Sunday Morning Futures. I'm Maria Bartiromo, and today we are covering breaking news out of South Florida, where an armed man was shot and killed by U.S. Secret Service agents and Palm Beach County Sheriff deputies after unlawfully entering a secure perimeter at Mar-a-Lago earlier this morning around 1:30 a.m. last night. The man was armed with a shotgun and a gas can. No Secret Service agents or personnel with the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Department were injured. President Trump at the time was at the White House at the time of the incident. Right now, we bring in former FBI Special Agent Nicole Parker with more. Nicole, thanks very much for being here. Your assessment of what took place last night.
This is just another attempt potentially to assassinate President Trump. We know that he was not there at the time, but we are not sure of what the shooter knew at the time that this occurred. He may not have known that President Trump was not present. But Maria, a 20-year-old male, like you mentioned, approached. He breached the perimeter, and he had a shotgun and a gas can. The agents and the law enforcement officers, West Palm Beach Sheriff's Office, approached him and told him to put it down. He agreed to put down the gas can, but instead he raised the shotgun into firing position, and they had to make a split-second decision. Again, as a law enforcement officer, as an FBI agent, a Secret Service agent, whatever department you may be with, when you believe that your life is in imminent danger of death or serious physical injury, deadly force is justified. And that is something that the FBI will be coming in and doing a full investigation. Again, the press conference this morning was extremely well done. It was very organized. We had different representatives from each of the agencies.
Let me say this. So it's gonna always be you over them. Okay, so they gonna go home. So you come out there if you want to, with these firearms and gas cans and think that you're gonna make it home. You not. I'm sure that he understood that. He knew the assignment. You were not going to go on that property with that pistol and that gas can and think that you were going to leave off that property unharmed. I just don't believe it. What we got here? We have Sean Kurz 1310 here. Welcome to the live stream, Mr. Sean. Was it a transformer? I don't know. I don't think they mentioned what type of pistol it was at this time. I haven't heard. But they're still doing the investigation, so we may, hear a little bit more in the next, day or so. I hope that answered the question. If not, let me know.
I can tell you that as an agent who worked in FBI Miami, I have the privilege to meet with the special agent in charge of FBI Miami just Friday evening here in Miami, and he is buttoned up. He will ensure that there is a solid investigation into this case. They are right now sending and deploying what we call our evidence response team. They are the evidence experts. They go in and they gather the evidence in a way that is proper, legal, and we do not at this point know if there was just one individual. There might have been a co-conspirator behind the scenes. We do not know, but they will follow the evidence process as if it is going to eventually end up in the court of law. That is how we do business there. I think also it's important to know.
No, please continue.
Okay. Also, it was important to note that the special agent in charge of FBI Miami came in and he said, look, we need anyone in the area, in the neighborhood, surrounding areas. If you have exterior cameras, please provide that footage to the FBI. And again, that number that you can call to give any sort of tips or information is 800 CALL FBI. What they're going to want to do is they're going to want to retrace the steps of exactly how this individual got there, where they came from. Obviously, this person will be fully identified. There will be a full profile done on who he was, what his motive was, his grievance. There's typically a precipitating stressor that causes an individual to do something like this. But we are aware that President Trump is in more danger than any other president. And again, this could potentially be the third assassination attempt on his life.
Right.
Okay,
And there are
3.
people that are working tirelessly behind the scenes to keep him safe every day. And Melania, his wife, his children, his family, they should have the right to live safely, even if he is not present there. And so this is, again, unacceptable. This will not be tolerated. And anyone that has the idea that they think that they're going to do this, you will be faced with a severe consequence, potentially losing your life. Because when you are, raising a gun at a law enforcement officer, deadly force is justified.
Well, in fact, you have to wonder how it is.
Now, she said earlier about the young man, maybe having a reason, like there's something that probably triggered him to do this. I mean, aside from mental illness or whatever, what issues do you really have at the age of 21 that would have you want to go and try to harm the president and his family? I'm a little stumped on that, but let's keep it going.
That this individual was able to get as close as he was, holding a shotgun and a gas can. If, in fact, this is a potential assassination on President Trump's life, this would be the third time and the second at or near Mar-a-Lago.
Right. That will be fully investigated. Again, they will.
Now, they're saying that 3 attempts and the second at Mar-a-Lago. Sir, you can't go back to Mar-a-Lago. That's my assessment. I mean, clearly it ain't safe enough because I haven't heard about one being near the White House, but I'm just speaking as a person that just, I'm not in law enforcement, but yeah, Mar-a-Lago don't seem to be well protected from what it sounds like. People just, going onto the property because the staff um they didn't fully let the gate close before you walked on. Like, I don't understand. I just don't get it, but okay.
Retrace his steps, how he got there, what exactly occurred. But right now, the number one thing is that the law enforcement officers were safe. No one was injured. And thankfully, President Trump is safe. He was not present. But again, they'll do a full analysis and scrub. Right now, they're going to pull this individual. They're going to pull his text messages, his social media accounts, if he was involved in any gaming, things of that sort. We're in a really dark place in our culture and society where individuals of this sort are actually praised. They're put out on pedestals and heroes. And we know that there are people that absolutely despise our president. And they have this rhetoric is so toxic and it causes people to act out. And then they lash out in violence. And they believe that they are fully justified many times to do this. That is not okay. It is unacceptable. And you will face the full consequence of the law or even potentially lose your life if you act in this manner. We cannot have this continue to happen.
And you have to wonder how many attempts will be enough to stop the rhetoric on the left. You've got just this upcoming week, expectations of protesting against President Trump and his State of the Union address on Tuesday night. Why the entire Congress, Republicans and Democrats, would not be in that chamber Tuesday night all together to hear the president's State of the Union is beyond me. But let me go back to something you just said in terms of scrubbing the background of this individual. When you go through all of that social media and those posts to try to find out who, in fact, this individual was, what specifically are they looking for? Do you expect we will then find a motive and what was going through his mind to actually show up at Mar-a-Lago with a shotgun and a gas can? What specifically will the FBI be doing and looking at?
Right. So again, they will specifically be going through any form of communication that he had electronically, digitally, technologically. They will be going through his text messages, his phone call history, who his friends were. They will be interviewing everybody, his family members, friends, coworkers, classmates, whatever it might be, and his sphere of influence or anyone that knew him. So they'll be doing interviews. They'll be going through scrubbing all of his social media, all of his devices, his computers, his laptops. And again, one thing that's really important, I would like to know, was he involved in gaming? There seems to be a common pattern that a lot of these individuals actually, live in this world, and then they want to act it out and carry out the shooting in real life. I would be very curious. We have no indication that this was what happened in this instance, but there has been a pattern in many of these young male shooters. And again, we're seeing the pattern of the young male shooters being involved in this type of activity. So let's see what the FBI comes up with, but they will do a full and exhaustive case. I have no doubt in my mind it will be fully, it'll be a good investigation. FBI Miami, it's sad to say this is not their first time to do an investigation of this sort. Ryan Ruth, they just had a successful prosecution. He was sentenced to life in prison because of the shooting attempt on the golf course with President Trump. And obviously, we know that Thomas Crooks, he is now deceased. The FBI continues to, work these cases, but they will have a full analysis of who this is, and that's why it's so important. They work the profilers from the behavioral analysis unit out of Quantico. They are the best of the best, and they will get a full picture of who did this and understand the patterns, because Maria, there are distinctive patterns that we're seeing in many of these shooters.
Do we know for sure that this shooter was targeting President Trump? I mean, it could be that he knew President Trump was at the White House at the governor's meeting. It certainly was widely broadcast. But you made an important point a moment ago. Maybe Melania was at Mar-a-Lago. Maybe his family was there. What do we know in terms of who was in Mar-a-Lago and how this person was able to get as close as he was?
That's part of the ongoing investigation. It is just beginning, and these are excellent questions that the FBI will be looking very closely at. What was his intent? What was his, what were his internet searches leading up to this, this crime that he committed? Was he, targeting President Trump? Did he know? Did he look up that he was at a governor's meeting? Did he know that he wasn't there? Whether he's there or not there, the investigation is going to be the same. They're going to carry this out. They're going to see. And again, we don't know where the family members are at this time, but we're in the beginning stages. The message I would like to make very clear: if you think that you're going to attempt to get close to a perimeter that you are not supposed to be around or breach, and you attempt to raise a gun at a law enforcement officer, you will face a severe consequence.
All right, Nicole, please stand by. We're going to come back to you as you work the phones, and we will be talking with you shortly, former Special Agent Nicole Parker.
Okay, y'all. So she said something interesting here. Hold on. Okay, let me get that.
This is one of the most significant.
Okay, y'all. Okay. Why is it still playing?
Cases that the justices have decided in recent years. Here, the Supreme Court ruled.
Okay, so it stopped playing. Why is it playing with? Okay, let me just go to here. Okay, so y'all, sorry about that. I'm gonna have to figure that out. But yeah, one of the things that I found interesting in what the former FBI agent was just saying is that there's a pattern that she is seeing, that they are seeing. And when I was sitting here listening, I was thinking about, okay, they had a gentleman that just got sentenced to life in prison when he, made an attempt on President Trump before he, became president. Remember him? We talked about it a few weeks ago. Then you have the Luigi Mangione guy that unalived the exec for the healthcare industry. Then you have the guy that unalived Charlie Kirk, right? And then you have the guy that tried to potentially harm President Trump at 1:30 this morning. So are they looking at those guys when they're saying, there's a trend, if that makes sense? And I know they're saying there was like another attempt on Trump, but I don't remember when that was or what the suspect looked like. But yeah, that I don't recall in my life, and I've not been on this earth as long as some of you may have been here, right? And I haven't always followed these type of topics, right? But I don't recall hearing this much about people trying to unalive like the president or people that are in these, in these positions, these public positions, right? And it's kind of alarming. if you will. And these people, at least like in the case of Louis Maggiani, the gentleman that was unalived this morning, the gentleman that harmed Charlie Kirk, these gentlemen are in their 20s. What is going on to where you have people in their 20s trying to do these kind of things? It's unheard of. But maybe you guys know more than I do about it. If you do, enlighten me in the chat. I would appreciate that. We have Curtis Martini in the house. Welcome. And he says it's fam. So are you saying that you think it's like family of someone that is giving information as to the whereabouts? Like, what do you mean about it's fam? Give me a little bit more context, okay? So I'm gonna try to get this video to get back playing right. So it may be a little wonky for a hot second, but please work with me. Because we're gonna go into the tariff discussion. I'm sure you guys saw where the Supreme Court overturned the tariffs that Trump had put into place. I want to say starting last year.
The Secret Service says a man in his early 20s
Okay, let
carrying
me
what
get this
appeared to be a
get this
shotgun.
back.
And so this is, again, unacceptable. This will not be tolerated. And
We have
anyone
to
that has the
replay a
idea
little
that they
bit, so
think that
please
they're
work
going
with
to
me,
do this,
y'all.
you will be faced with a severe consequence, potentially losing your life. Because when you are, raising a gun at a law enforcement officer, deadly force is justified.
Well, in fact, you have to wonder how it is that this individual was able to get as close as he was, holding a shotgun.
Let me try to get it moved a little bit further up.
But there has been a pattern in many of these young male shooters. And again, we're seeing the pattern of the young male shooters being involved in this type of activity. So let's see what the FBI comes up with, but they will do a full and exhaustive case. I have no doubt in my mind it will be fully, it'll be a good investigation. FBI Miami, it's sad to say this is not their first time to do an investigation of this sort. Ryan Ruth, they just had a successful prosecution. He was sentenced to life in prison because of the shooting attempt on the golf course with President Trump.
Okay, y'all. So I did not see some of these comments.
President Trump. And obviously,
Why
we
is
know that
my
Thomas Crook,
video acting
he
like
is now
this?
deceased. The FBI continues to, work these.
Okay, stay paused. Okay, so y'all, I did not see. All right, this is just doing its own thing right now. Hold on. Okay, let me look at these comments real fast, then we'll go back to the video. It's crazy. Okay, y'all, I'm trying to go to the comments because I didn't see some of y'all comments on YouTube. So let me go here. So Space Turkey did say it was a suicide mission. Okay, I don't think I saw that one. Then I also have from let's see, from Sean Kurz 1310. He asked the question, a tranny. At this point, I don't know. They didn't mention anything about a tranny on any of the things I've seen thus far. And then we have at Ashkin 2020 now. Welcome to the live stream. Saying, will anybody investigate why Obama and Biden granted green cards to Iranian regiment? I'm sorry. Will anybody investigate why Obama and Biden granted green cards to Iranian regime politicians secretly? TWI, thousands of them. I'm gonna be honest with you, Ashcan. I was not aware. I'm trying to show you a comment. Okay, there you go. I was not aware about that. I would think that they would be looking into that. I'm not sure. So we have Mr. John Luchargo 8867. Welcome to the live stream. He says it's called suicide by cop. Yep, that's what I had mentioned previously. I sure did. That's what it sounded like to me when you do what he just did. That's insane. Okay, so we have Curtis Martini. Now I saw your it's spam comment, and now I see your comment saying it's more fake news. Got you. Now we have Curtis Martini saying F Trump, he's a P scumbag. Okay, Curtis Martini is got a strong opinion on that. All right. As a matter of fact, Curtis, I had seen something the other day where somebody did like a song that was called that. I haven't seen it myself, but I saw someone talking about it online. So then we have Tim Young. Welcome to the live stream, Mr. Tim Young. You are a great dresser. Who taught you how to dress? Um, it's just a talent I was born with. Right now, I'm in my little soft clothes. It's snowing outside, and I have not been out the house all day, so I'm just relaxing. Yes, but thank you for the comment. Yes, I appreciate that. So Sean Kurtz said, I like and subscribe. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. For those who are here, if you haven't done so, support the channel by like, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. It's free, and I appreciate that. Thank you. We have D Usted says, um, shout out Russell. Who was Russell? Did I miss someone that was named Russell? That was in the comments? Because I tried to um acknowledge everybody. So we have Bolster. Okay. Lord, we got Bolster on here. Someone saying you're getting rated on Twitch. I'm not on Twitch. Am I? I am on Twitch. Okay. You're getting rated on Twitch. What does that mean? Does it mean all these crazy comments I'm seeing on here? Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. All these crazy comments. Okay. Um, Someone's asking about my Christmas tree being up. Yes, my Christmas tree is going to be up for the rest of the year. It's going to be a Mardi Gras tree, possibly. It may be a 4th of July tree, a Halloween tree, a Thanksgiving tree. It's going to be all kind of trees, but I like how it looks. It goes with my decor, and that's why it's still up. It gives me joy and happiness, and I'm not going to take it down. So yeah, that's what's going on with the tree. So we have Oatmeal 5671. Welcome to the live stream. Why is your Christmas tree still up? Because it brings me joy. Yes, I deserve to have joy in this world, and my Christmas tree does that for me. So when I go live, I cut my tree on, and that's my co-host for the live stream. So okay, so I see what it means by I'm being rated with all these crazy comments on the Twitch. So I'm not gonna pay that no more attention. So thank you, Fly S2H, for putting me on. Now I understand what you was trying to tell me. Okay, y'all, let me get back to the video I want you guys to see so we can talk about these tariffs, y'all. Let's get back to that. Hopefully I can get this to play right this time, but we'll see. If not, just work
Secret
with
Service
me.
says a man in his early 20s carrying what appeared to
Organized. We have
Okay.
different
Looking at.
Right. So again, getting President Trump, did he know? Did he look up that he was at a governor's meeting? Did he know that he wasn't
Okay.
there? Whether he's there or not there, the investigation is going to be the
We're gonna
same.
have
They're
to
going
like
to carry
replay a
this
little
out. They're going
bit,
to see.
but
And
for
again,
those
we
who are
don't
new
know where the
here, you
family
can
members
kind
are
of
at
see
this
what we're
time, but
talking
we're in the
about.
beginning stages. The message I would like to make very clear: if you think that you're going to attempt to get close to a perimeter that you are not supposed to be around or breach, and you attempt to raise a gun at a law enforcement officer, you will face a severe consequence.
All right, Nicole, please stand by. We're going to come back to you as you work the phones, and we will be talking with you shortly, former Special Agent Nicole Parker.
Okay, the tariffs,
This is one of the
y'all.
most significant cases that the justices have decided in recent years. Here, the Supreme Court ruling that President Trump's use of these emergency tariffs that he has implemented are illegal. It's the most significant economic case to reach the high court in years, sweeping implications for the economy and, of course, for presidential power. And at stake here are billions of dollars in revenue that have already been collected by the government. Pamela Wolf, the other significance here is that this is the first time that the 6-3 conservative court has ruled against President Trump in one of these major cases that have gone before the court since he returned to power in January. Now, we are still going through this case, but this is something we have been waiting for. The court said that it would take up this case on an expedited basis. So they're deciding, even though it's a significant case now, because of course this has enormous implications. So as we go through this opinion now with our team, another outstanding question is what now happens to all that revenue that had been collected. This is something that it really wasn't clear from the arguments what they would say about that, if they're going to lay out a plan. So we will continue to go through this, but this is an enormous decision and a rare loss for President Trump before this conservative court.
This is, Paula, a major slap at the President of the United States, who has made a major effort over these many, many months to impose all of these tariffs. And just to look at some of the background I have here, over these many months, the administration has collected $150 billion in these tariffs. So what happens to that money? Do they have to refund that?
$150 billion in tariffs? My goodness. Y'all tell me, what was the original intent for the use of the money? I remember hearing about people receiving, like these like stimulus type checks, but I don't know if that ever happened. If they went out, I didn't get one. But that's a lot of money from tariffs. My goodness.
Refund that money to the firms, to the people who paid for those tariffs?
That's one of the big questions that came up at arguments, and it's something that we're looking through now in this opinion. The top line is that these are illegal, that the president cannot rely on this 1977 emergency law to impose tariffs without authorization from Congress, because this question is really about the extent of presidential power. And we know in both his terms in office, President Trump has really worked at the edges of what has largely been recognized as executive authority. But in these arguments back in November, they went on for 2.5 hours. It was clear that the justices were skeptical that President Trump could rely on this vague federal law to impose global tariffs. Now, they did appear to likely be willing to decide that these were illegal, but what is not clear, and we haven't gotten to this part of the opinion, is what happens to all that revenue that has been collected by the government. And President Trump has said himself that this is a massive decision for him. So we're waiting for reaction, both from the Justice Department that argued this on his behalf and also from the White House. But we're going to keep going through this, Wolf.
So, y'all, I did a quick little research here. And it says that Trump's tariffs aim to protect U.S. manufacturing, reduce trade deficits, force companies to produce domestically, and serve as leverage for diplomatic demands, like stopping illegal immigration. Collected by the Treasury, these funds, over $133 billion by late 2025, are generally used for federal revenue, potential debt reduction, or to fund initiatives like farmer relief. Okay, I see. Interesting.
See if the justices laid out any plan for what happens to that revenue.
All right, Paula, stand by. I know you're going to be reading all these the opinions and everything. I want to get back to you, but I want to bring.
Before I keep going, okay, we got some comments here. We got Mick Swagger 4K. Welcome to the live stream. Saying at this point, he's just testing what they'll let him get away with. There should be a rule that the Supreme Court never be that lopsided. Got you. We got Ricky Clark 4870 in the house here. Welcome to the check-in. Those were not going to happen until April. He can give tariffs just in a different way. He already has that fixed. Yes. All right. Let's keep it going. Because I do have his response and what he put into place yesterday as well. So let's get into that, y'all. And thank y'all for the input. I appreciate it. I do.
Legal analyst Ellie Honig right now. Ellie, as I said, this is a huge setback for the President of the United States. And this has been a traditionally conservative Supreme Court, but they ruled that all of these tariffs that Trump has imposed over these many months are illegal. It's a big deal.
Well, Wolf, it's a monumental ruling, and the bottom line is that the tariffs Donald Trump announced back in April on Liberation Day are gone. They have been ruled illegal by this U.S. Supreme Court. An interesting array of justices here. In the majority, ruling that the tariffs are illegal is Chief Justice Roberts, Justice Gorsuch, and Justice Amy Coney Barrett, three conservatives who teamed up with the three liberal justices, Sotomayor, Kagan, and Jackson, to rule these tariffs unconstitutional. The dissenters are Justices Thomas, Alito, and Kavanaugh. And the basis for the ruling is this: Congress, not the president, Congress typically holds the tariff power. Now, Congress passed this law back in 1977 called the International Economic Emergencies Act. And Donald Trump tried to use that law to say, well, I'm declaring an international economic emergency, therefore I'm imposing tariffs. But the majority here said, no, that law does not authorize you to impose tariffs, and no, there is not a valid international economic emergency here. So the end result, and we are still going through this, but the end result is that Donald Trump's tariffs have been struck down by the U.S. Supreme Court. But really important point I want to make, Donald Trump has said, various White House officials have said, if he loses on this basis, he will try to re-implement other tariffs through other laws, which he can try to do. However, those other laws are much more restrictive. They would not allow him to apply the type of sweeping, massive, across the globe tariffs that he tried to impose here, but have now been struck down. Look, Donald Trump said these tariffs are the single most important thing he has done in his presidency. He said that, and now they've been struck down by the court.
So you're right.
So let me check out what you guys are saying here real fast. Okay, Ricky Clark 4870 says he has already put tariffs in place, just a different way. Yes, I saw that. Then we got Really Stupid in the house. Welcome to the check-in, Really Stupid. He's saying, he or she is saying, stop crying. Who's crying? But okay. Then we have Mick Swagger 4K saying, usually what they say and do are two different things. Then we got Ricky Clark, laughing in here. Then we got Smile. It helps 3708. Welcome to the live stream. He or she is saying, don't we Americans pay those tariffs? Then we have user tinfoil hat. Welcome to the check-in. It's saying, read the ruling. It's foreign policy. POTUS determines what is imposed, not Congress. Then we have Amanda McCullough, 1153. Welcome to the check-in. It's saying, shortly after he had a tissy and said he's implementing 15% tariffs anyway. Yes, I saw that. All right, I wanted to keep in track with y'all. Let's continue to play this.
The administration has made clear that if the court strikes this down, that they'll look at other tariff authorities to use. But bottom line here, Ellie, how big of a mess does this ruling create, given that the administration says it has already received $150 billion in revenue, largely paid for by American businesses? Do they get a refund? What happens now?
Yeah, so it's hard to think of a case that has broader implications politically and legally and economically than this one. I know a lot of people are watching for this one. We don't yet have the answer. This was a question that came up during the oral argument. Amy Coney Barrett in particular asked the lawyers, well, what do we do with the $100+ billion that have already been paid by American importers, by American manufacturers? We're going to look carefully at this. I know Paul is reading this very carefully, but that's a huge question. Will there be some sort of mass refund program? Will the court rule that the tariffs are dead from here on out, but there are no repayments? We will let you know as soon as we get an answer to that one.
All right, as you noted, Paula has been reading through the opinion. I want to go back to Paula Reed because we know that 3 conservatives sided with the liberals on the court, and you have a quote from one of those conservatives, right, Paula?
That's right. Well, this is Chief Justice John Roberts, who wrote the majority opinion where the court agreed 6-3 that President Trump's tariffs exceed his power under the law. He wrote, quote, "The president asserts the extraordinary power to unilaterally impose tariffs of unlimited amount, duration, and scope. In light of the breadth, history, and constitutional context of that asserted authority, he must identify clear congressional authorization to exercise it." And we knew that the Chief Justice would be a key vote after what we saw at arguments. Now, we are still going through this. I want to show you, this is about a third of the opinion. It's 170 pages long. This is just a fraction of it. Wow. So we're going through it very carefully to try to understand what, if anything, the court said about what happens to all that revenue the government has already collected. I know that's a big question right now. We are carefully going through this to see if they laid out a plan, if this goes back to the lower courts. That's what we're working to figure out right now.
And quick question from me, Paula. Do the tariffs immediately go away as of right now, or does it take a few days or at least maybe a few weeks for them to be removed?
Well, they've been declared by the Supreme Court to be illegal. So we're going through to see if they laid out some sort of plan. But as of right now, people should not have to pay a tariff today or tomorrow, one would think. But we're looking to see, because the logistics of this are so complicated, to see if the justices waded into that, or if all of that is going to be something that's now going to be tossed down to lower courts now that the justices have ruled on the larger constitutional question here, the separation sort of powers and who has the authority to do this, right? Because while this has enormous economic implications, really this was a question about the extent of executive power. We know President Trump really plays at the edges of that. And again, this is a rare loss for President Trump since he has returned to office before this conservative court. So we're going to keep waiting through what they said to work out the details.
Okay. Interesting. So I'm wondering the same thing. Like, what happens with that billion, whatever amount of tariffs? Like, who does that go to? How do they get it? I did see where several people and companies have actually filed a lawsuit for it prior to this determination being made public. But yeah, I don't know. What do we have here in the comments? We have here, okay, Amanda McCullough saying, yes, and he did implement things in a different way, right? Ricky Clark says, not anyway, a different way, right? Smile It Helps says, wait, we consumers paid those tariffs. Do we get a refund check? That's a good question. Ricky Clark says, that's going to take months. And Amanda agrees, saying, exactly. Yeah. The rest of the comment didn't come through, but yes, y'all. So the next thing I have is Trump's response to the Supreme Court ruling. And you know what? He's something else. Let's go ahead and play that, y'all.
Guess there's nobody left to appeal to. But again, those three people, such respect. I've had a lot of respect for them anyway, but such great respect. But other alternatives will now be used to replace the ones that the court incorrectly rejected. We have alternatives, great alternatives. Could be more money. We'll take in more money, and we'll be a lot stronger for it. We're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars. We'll continue to do so. To show you how ridiculous the opinion is, however, the court said that I'm not allowed to charge even $1. I can't charge $1. Can't charge $1. I would have used 1 penny, but we don't make the pennies anymore. We save money. Can't charge $1 to any country under IEPA. Not $1. I assume to protect other countries. This must have been done to protect those other countries, certainly not the United States of America, which they should be interested in protecting. That's what they're supposed to be protecting. But I am allowed to cut off any and all trade or business with that same country. In other words, I can destroy the trade. I can destroy the country. I'm even allowed to impose a foreign country destroying embargo. I can embargo. I can do anything I want, but I can't charge $1. Because that's not what it says. And that's not the way it even reads. I can do anything I want to do to them, but I can't charge any money. So I'm allowed to destroy the country, but I can't charge them a little fee. I could give them a little 2-cent fee, but I cannot charge under any circumstances. I cannot charge them anything Think of that. How ridiculous is that? I'm allowed to embargo them. I'm allowed to tell them you can't do business in the United States anymore. We want you out of here. But if I want to charge them $10, I can't do that. It's incorrect. Their decision's incorrect. But it doesn't matter because we have very powerful alternatives that have been approved by this decision. You know, they've been approved by the decision for those that thought they had us.
Yeah, I heard that last part. For those who thought they had us. Yeah, one thing about the president, he got away with some words, okay? he got away with some words, y'all. I got to give him that. So yeah, like y'all said in the chat, he has already got a plan in place and it's been implemented. So I'm going to show you guys that in a second. But let me get caught up with the comments here. We have Amanda McCullough saying thank you. You're welcome. Then we got Ricky Clark 4870 saying he was mad. Duality, welcome to the live stream. Duality says bigly mad. We got Ricky Clark 4870 saying the two with him look like they don't want to be there. Laugh out loud. And then, he said laugh out loud again. But yes, y'all. So let me show y'all what he put out yesterday. He got the news, got the world spinning, y'all. Check it out.
Today, President Trump raised his new global tariffs to 15%, one day after the Supreme Court struck down many of his punishing taxes. But what about refunds? CBS's Willie James Inman is at the White House. Willie James?
Elaine, good evening to you. Thousands of companies have paid billions in tariffs, and some are now waiting for refunds after filing lawsuits to get their money back.
Small business owners like David Levi, the founder of MicroKits in Virginia, are breathing a sigh of relief following the Supreme Court's decision.
We've been kind of in survival mode, kind of just things have been slow. And now with this ruling, now I feel some relief.
Levi sued to get a refund on tariffs long before the Supreme Court made its ruling on Friday.
Had to cut my workers' hours. I had to just accept that I was going to make fewer parts this year.
Thousands of businesses, big and small, have had to pay additional tariffs, including corporate giants like Costco, Revlon, and Bumblebee Foods, who also sued to get refunds. But Trump says refunds won't come without a legal battle.
We'll end up being in court for the next 5 years.
And now California Governor Gavin Newsom and Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker are demanding the Trump administration pay out refunds to businesses and Americans.
America's working families deserve a refund.
The government has collected more than $130 billion in tariff revenue tied to President Trump's tariff announcement in April of last year. Tariffs have been at the center of President Trump's domestic and foreign policy. And now the White House is putting forward its backup plan.
I have the right to do tariffs, and I've always had the right to do tariffs.
Elaine, tonight the White House dismissing and blasting Governor Pritzker's demand, saying he should instead focus on his own state government.
Willie James Inman, thanks.
Wow, y'all. He said it's going to be 5 years. It's going to be a legal battle before folks get these refunds from this tariff and that $1 billion+. So I don't know, y'all. I guess they'll figure out how to get the funds out. I'm not sure, but I wonder how. I mean, I guess it's tracked some kind of way, right? People having to pay more for different things. So it shouldn't be that hard to figure out who needs to get what, right? So one thing I will tell you is that when he says something, I know he's going to do it. So if he's saying there's going to be a legal battle for 5 years, it may not be 5, maybe less, might be more, but it won't be just, hey, we're going to send you a check tomorrow. That's what I hear on that. So let me hear what we have here. So we have Smiley Helps 3708 saying, so we just get the shaft again, great. Par for the course. We just eat it. Thanks, Trump. I guess. I don't know. We're gonna see what happens with these tariffs, because I don't think that with the amount of $1 billion something dollars, like, people are gonna let that go. So we're gonna see what happens with these tariffs and the refunds and things of that nature. Ricky Clark says nope. So yes, y'all. So we're gonna switch gears a little bit. So I did not realize that that the White House does a Black History Month celebration. Did not know that. So let's get into that for a second, because let me tell y'all, if you haven't like seen some of the clips from it, like you got to stick around and watch these, because the way Trump was talking and the people he had there, I know they had a good time, but it was just quite entertaining to me. So let's go ahead and get into this first clip, y'all.
Nearly 10,000 African Americans fought for the patriot cause in the Revolutionary War. Did you know that? 10,000, and it's actually a number, even I've heard even higher than that, helping secure our independence in every generation since, from the Buffalo Soldiers to the Tuskegee Airmen. Black Americans have stepped forward to defend the flag and to defend our country like few others, really, like few others. And you've never really been given the recognition that you should get for that. You know that, Ben? They never, I don't think a lot of people have given the kind of recognition, but everyone knows all about the Tuskegee Airmen. They were great and amazing. The Buffalo Soldiers, do you know the Buffalo Soldiers? Good stuff, right? From jazz to the blues, that you know, that you do get recognition for. Jazz, the blues, from rock and roll to rap, black artists like Chuck Berry, Muddy Waters. How about Nicki Minaj? Do we love Nicki Minaj? Right? I love Nicki Minaj. She was here a couple of weeks ago. She's so beautiful. Her skin's so beautiful. I said, Nicki is so beautiful. Her nails are like that long. I said, Nicki, are they real? She said, she didn't want to get into that. But she was so beautiful and so great, and she gets it, you know, more importantly, frankly, she gets it. But black leaders from Frederick Douglass to Martin Luther King, right, little relative over here, have made our country freer, and really what they've really done is made life more just. And black athletes have inspired billions around the globe, from Sugar Ray Robinson, Sugar Ray Leonard also, by the way, great, what a great fighter. Muhammad Ali, who was a friend of mine. I put a picture of myself and Muhammad. It was another piece of work. You talk about a piece of work. But he could fight, couldn't he, huh? Mike Tyson, boy, I tell you, Mike has been loyal to me. Whenever they come out, they say, Trump's a racist. You know, it's like a statement. Trump's a racist. Mike Tyson goes, he's not a racist. He's my friend. He's been there from the beginning, good times and bad. But Mike Tyson's a great guy, and he was so loyal, always been loyal. And Herschel Walker, speaking about loyal, how good a football player was Herschel? Herschel Walker, now he's ambassador to the Bahamas. I don't know, Bahamas, Bermuda, is he Bahamas, whatever. It's nice, a nice place. You'd like that, Bruce, wouldn't you? Bruce wants it. And a guy I became really, he liked Trump, Jim Brown. He was tough. He'd come in, he was very silent. He was silent but deadly. He'd come in and he'd look at people, and if he didn't like them, he'd just look at me and he'd go, no good. He'd want to rip their heart out. I would say there can't be a greater football player than Jim Brown. By the way, Lawrence Taylor, great friend. The great Lawrence Taylor, greatest defensive player probably in the history of football. He's a great friend of mine. And, but I'm longer off the tee than him. You know why? Because they take the club back further. He takes the club back this far, and he hits it 200 yards. When you can do that, you're strong. He is a great guy, I'll tell you that. And all of this is a part of the legacy that we celebrate on July 4th.
Okay, y'all.
Law and order. We need law and order. You know.
So yeah, I thought his the way he was kind of talking about Nicki Minaj, that was just so funny to me. Talking about her nails and how beautiful she was. Yeah, Trump said he ain't blind, y'all. Okay. And you know what? It is not lost upon me that this came at a pretty good time, right? Him having this celebration, because you know, you guys probably have seen or at least heard about the Michelle and Barack Obama meme that came out of the White House a couple of weeks ago, right? So, you know, so yeah, this whole, talk about him being racist and him having this event, it all kind of goes a little hand in hand, right? What we got here in the comments? We got Ricky Clark saying, I love the grandma lady. Yes, and I have the grandma lady coming up next. Yes, I do, Ricky Clark. Yes, because grandma wasn't playing. She was not. She love her some Trump, y'all. She does. And what I will say about the grandma lady, I know she made a comment on there about, and I'm going to show it to you guys. Just hold on. But I just want to say this. I know she made a comment about people coming for her, and I hope nobody comes for her because from what I see here, this lady lost her grandchild to gun violence in DC, right? And she tells you in the video how you know Trump sent people to her home and all that to come see about her and talk to her. Let me just go ahead and play the video and then I'll give you my thoughts. Okay, let me show you this. So wait a minute, Ricky Clark saying they didn't show the whole video though. Okay, they didn't. Okay, so I only saw the part that I'm about to show you right now, y'all. So check this out and then we'll get back.
Washington, D.C. is amazing. It was a crime capital. It was a horror show. A year ago, it was really dangerous, and now it's one of the safest cities anywhere in the country. And we're in Memphis, Tennessee now, where it's like a different world. In 4 months, we've made it safe. We're in Louisiana, as you know. We're in lots of other places, and we have the lowest crime numbers that we've had in many years. We have the lowest murder numbers in 125 years, since 1900. And that's despite the fact that a lot of people are here, but those people have been taken out. Lots of them have been taken out. That's why we stopped the invasion at the southern border. And just 1 year ago, and think of this, 1 year ago, we had the absolute worst border that we've ever had, and now we have the safest border that we've ever had. So it's going to be really something. 125 years ago, that's before my father was born. I had a wonderful father, but that was before. So we have, murders are down from 125 years. We had the best numbers. When you think about it, that's pretty incredible. And those numbers are made up by Democrats. Can you believe it? They don't want to give me those numbers. They can add a couple of people here and there. But I've also deployed the National Guard to bring back safety to Memphis and to New Orleans and Washington. And the National Guard has been incredible, and people are safe. In the case of Washington, the restaurants were all closing up. People were getting really badly hurt and killed, frankly. Many people killed.
Now, one thing that you can learn from Trump is that Trump is going to let you know exactly what he has done. He going to give you his stats, his successes. He going to give that to you every time he get up there and speak, okay? He going to give you something that's going to, put him in a better light and show you his track record, okay? So, yes. What we got here in the comments? We got, let me go back a little bit first. Okay, we got Mike One's-knee 4079. Welcome, saying that we're paying for tariffs. Okay. Then we kind of transition the comments to the video regarding the Black History Month thing. And we got Ricky Clark and myself kind of going back and forth in the chat a little bit, just having good conversation. We have, let's see, he said he loves the grandma lady. They didn't show the whole video, right? Then we got Smile It Help says, didn't Trump settle pit of court in the 70s for discrimination against Black people by not renting to them? I do remember hearing someone talk about there being something about him not renting to Black people, but I do not know the story. We have Ricky Clark saying the Obama tweet had a whole video. No one really seen it all. Got you. Then we got Amanda McCullough saying we saw some V Sheiks in Knoxville, Tennessee. We sent out. Okay. We have Antonio De La Rosa, 1731. Welcome to the live stream. Saying, wonder if the HBCUs are mad about all the money he donates. So, Antonio De La Rosa, so are you saying that President Trump donates a lot of money to HBCUs? I'm asking genuinely because I don't know. I just want to make sure I'm understanding the comment. But yes. Okay. So y'all keep that going in the chat. I'm gonna get this back playing because y'all need to meet grandma. Okay. Let's get her up here.
And now you can walk down the street and you have nothing to fear. We have one of the safest cities in the world, and it happened very fast, Bruce. One of those who knows the importance of this mission is Felicia Cook, a lifelong Washingtonian who tragically lost her grandson to violence in 2017. Felicia, we're so sorry, and you are a spectacular person. If you could say a few words, please. Thank you very much. Yes, come on. Oh, yeah. Oh, help her up. We don't want any mistakes.
No, that's right.
Thank you. Yes, you can. Thank you. That's so nice. I like her. Please.
I like him too. One thing I like about him, he keeps it real just like Grandma. I appreciate that because I can trust him because he tells exactly how he feels and what he thinks. Thank God for this president. I am filled, my cup runneth over. Because he allowed his constituents, his people to come to my house to interview me, to talk about the murder of my grandson. It seemed like nobody cared. I'm an advocate for murder. I marched, I rallied, I pulled out other families in the District of Columbia that had murders and did not have answers. Ooh. We marched and we rallied, and nobody heard me, Democrats, get mad at me. Until this Republican sent his constituents, his people out there to interview me in my home. Have you ever heard of a thing? Then they invited me twice before Congress to testify for the beautiful bill that's going to change crime in the district. If you kill somebody, okay, you take a life, you do life. Just that simple. If you do a harsh crime, you do harsh crime. Just that simple. And then we need National Guard, and which we did years ago. He brought it on. I love him. I don't want to hear nothing you got to say about that racist stuff. And don't be looking at me on the news, hating on me because I'm standing up for somebody that deserves to be standing up for. Get off the man's back. Let him do his job. He's doing the right thing. Back up off him. And Grandma said it.
Okay, Grandma. She gotta get that last hug and kiss y'all. Okay, Grandma.
Wow. That's pretty good. When is she running for office? Felicia, when are you running for office, please? You have my endorsement. You have my endorsement, Felicia. Thank you, darling. That's great. What a great, and it's from the heart.
It was
your little
from the
baby,
heart.
right? Was just so horribly.
That's from the soul.
Horribly taken from you. Under the Trump administration.
So, what I was gonna say before is that lady lost her grandchild. I want to say she said 2017, right? 2017, almost 10 years ago, this lady lost her grandchild. And as a grandparent, she's not the mama, she's the grandparent. And which means she's a little bit older, right? She has been out there for what it sounds like, gathering other families who lost a child or a family member to gun violence, out in the streets protesting, trying to get some change made, right? And the President Trump, sent his people out to where they were, to her house to interview her. That lady feels seen. Okay? She feels seen. Invited her to come to speak before Congress for the big beautiful bill, because for her losing her grandchild was personal, right? That's personal to her, right? So when you have someone of that level, of that stature, because at the end of the day, her story is going to help President Trump and his administration with what they trying to get moved forward. You know what I'm saying? Because he's trying to have the National Guard here to help try to combat the crime and all of that. Things that she probably feel like, was a contributing factor to her son her grandchild being taken away from her. That lady feels seen. And she don't matter. It don't matter to her who is the one seeing her. She feels seen, and she has gotten visibility in front of Congress and all of that to help tell her grandchild's story. And in her mind, she is doing what she think is right to help prevent another family from having to experience what she is experiencing with losing her grandchild. So I cannot fault this lady for doing what she's doing. She feel like she's doing something that's right. And honestly, I would not want anyone, if I lost a child, a grandchild, a nephew, a niece, or whoever, to gun violence, I would probably be an advocate myself, because it's a senseless loss, right? You know what I'm saying? So I understand where she's coming from. So I don't have anything to say about this lady. And like Mr. Ricky Clark said, imagine the pain she deals with. It's horrible. Yeah, because a lot of times as a parent, a grandparent, you don't expect to see your offspring leave the earth before you. See what I'm saying? As a parent, as a child, you expect to bury your parent, right? But a parent does not expect to bury their child. It's a difference, right? So I can only imagine, like you said here, Mr. Ricky Clark, the pain that she deals with, and maybe her getting out here doing her advocacy is what helps her get up in the morning to keep going. You know what I'm saying? But I saw where Antonio De La Rosa did let me know that President Trump donates a lot to HBCUs. I did not know that. We got Amanda McCullough saying, "Sorry, we saw ICE in Knoxville, Tennessee, and sent out warnings." Okay. I just hope that we don't have in Tennessee what was had in Minneapolis. Um, I would just really hate to see another person unalived, behind this. I saw yesterday on a video where a lady got hit with something and she had like a cut underneath her eye. My goodness. I didn't watch the video to see what was the cause, what was the story behind it, but that's a lot. That's a lot, y'all. We got Ricky Clark saying, "Sweet lady, imagine the pain she deals with. It's horrible. She's awesome." We got Demand MG1PS. Welcome to the check-in. Saying, "Love Trump." Amanda McCullough is saying, "Okay, but he took my daughter's ability and put retirement off 2 more years. I lost my son to government holding." I am so sorry to hear that. Put retirement off, but they put off retirement for 2 more years. I missed that memo. Let me write this down. Hold on, y'all. I really be writing stuff down. So I wonder if I'm impacted by that. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry about that happened to your daughter. So what exactly, if you don't mind sharing, what exactly happened to where the disability was lost? I'm really just curious. We got Smile It Helps saying, "Didn't David Duke outwardly support Trump?" I don't know. I don't know who David Duke is, to be honest. I don't know. Then we have Hellhound of Justice. Welcome to the check-in. Says, "I don't know any relevant press writing David Duke articles, so that's a bunch of crap." So I guess people know who David Duke is. Then we have 2_tacos. Welcome to the check-in. Saying Crockett for president. And Ricky Clark said they did. Okay, I'm not sure what that's in answer response to. Okay, we got Robert Davidson, 993. Welcome to the check-in. He's saying to smile it helps. Yes, he did, both in 2016 and 2020, and the campaign disavowed his endorsements. Okay. All right, y'all. So next up, Savannah Chrisley. Y'all know her from Chrisley Knows Best, right? Her parents ended up having to go to jail for a bit of time. And I believe they were pardoned by Trump, maybe last year, I think it was. Well, anyway, Savannah had an opportunity to be on The View. I want to say for about a week, right? And she had some views that kind of differ from the ladies that are regulars on The View. And so let's kind of get into that for a hot second. Check it out.
What's so hard for me to witness is people stating that the president is a racist, because I've seen him firsthand. He saved one of my best friend's lives, a black woman who has been with him for 18 years.
So he has a black friend. He's a racist.
No,
let's call a thing a thing. Donald Trump is a racist. There's no question in my mind. It is time to say the truth and tell it like it is.
Savannah Chrisley spars with the ladies of The View.
We need people that can disagree and not be disagreeable.
Savannah disagreed plenty during her stint guest hosting at the table as she filled in for new mom Melissa Farrah-Griffin, the Roundtable's resident conservative who's on maternity leave. The reality star's right-leaning views on full display as she defended President Trump from racist accusations.
He saved one of my best friend's lives, a black woman who has been with him for 18 years.
Here's the problem, Savannah, and why we have a different take on it. Many of us have a different take on it, because when you target DEI programs, your first week in office, when you shared racist posts about the Obamas, when you pursued the death penalty for the exonerated 5, these are the reasons that his behavior is so hard.
It's not about winning over people. It's about telling as much of the truth as we have.
I'm in a place to where I see people being mistreated, and I see it on a daily basis, and I'm like, all right, I have a platform, and now that I know better, it's my responsibility to do better.
The day prior, more bickering, this time over a false allegation Savannah made about House Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
AOC, though, is also the Democrats' pick for the next election.
No. I don't know that that's so.
You better tell that to Gavin Newsom. Well, I think Alexandria, Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez has made it pretty clear that she's not running for president.
We can still have arguments and fights because nobody's going to do it the way that everybody wants it done, but we'll have better standing ground because it's not about your race, it's not about your gender, it's about what's best for the country.
I will always be outspoken about my conservative values and beliefs. Just because I align with the president doesn't mean I believe in every single thing that he does. I have said I have goals to challenge the administration on certain topics and things that they're doing that I may not agree with, and work on things that I think could be better. So that's something. For so long I lived in the dark and by the world of Hollywood was made to feel shame over conservative values and beliefs. And
over being a Christian.
Yeah, and I just won't do it anymore. So I do believe that I love people and love people well, and I show up for, I'm loyal to the people who have been loyal to me. It's just how I operate.
Okay. So there we have it regarding Miss Savannah Chrisley, honey. One thing I will say, she is very well spoken, very articulate. I think she may have been like in the pageant world at some point in the past. But either way it go, very well spoken, very articulate, very poised. And I will just say this: if you're gonna go on The View with those ladies that are very opinionated, you definitely got to go on there being ready to hold your own and having the receipts, if you will, doing the research to support what your position is, if that makes sense. But let's go ahead and get into these comments because you guys have been typing away, y'all. Let me get caught up. Okay. So we have D-Man MG1PS saying, gotta love how Trump closed that border so fast after Biden said it had to go through Congress. Okay. Smile It Help says, Duke has stated that Trump's policies align with his own, often referring to a shared goal of protecting European American heritage. Ricky Clark says, shake my head. Those women are so hate-filled. Antonio De La Rosa is saying the same people calling him racist loved him until he ran under Republican ticket, and that's the truth, Ruth. So Antonio, was President Trump a Democrat in the past? I'm asking genuinely. Was he a Democrat in the past? Because you're saying once he ran under the Republican ticket, like was he under a different? Did he identify with a different party in the past? I guess is the question. If you know, let me know, please. We have Kenny Mac 8391. Welcome to the check-in, saying how the H is a race. Oh, how the H is he a racist? He got Lil Wayne out of jail. Oh, he got Lil Wayne out of jail? I didn't know that. Because I do remember him going to jail. He had got them teeth taken out because he had them cavities and whatnot. But I did not know that that Trump pardoned him. Okay. So we got Smiley Help saying Charlottesville rally. In 2017, Duke attended the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia, stating that the attendees were there. Okay. We have Rob Davison 993 saying the view is narrow-minded. Trump is not a racist. Do some research and quit listening to the left's talking points. Now, if you said Biden is a racist, I totally agree. So, quick question, Mr. Rob Davidson, if you don't mind. So, why would you agree with them saying that Biden was a racist? Genuinely asking a question. We have Ricky Clark 4870 saying, did you ever think he's doing that to stir up more hate? I don't even think it's true. A lot of propaganda out there. Smile It Helps says receipts. Ricky Clark says, oh, that old BS, it was already debunked. They don't have receipts, just the same old baloney. Okay, y'all, so what receipts are we talking about here? I feel like there's a couple of different conversations going on in here. We have okay, Ricky Clark saying they need to be taken off air. They spread hate. So you're talking about The View, I'm assuming. So Antonio says he was. Okay, so you're saying he was. Okay, he was a Democrat. Okay, thank you. And so Ricky Clark said he was a Democrat donor. Glenn W111, welcome to the check-in, says he has his whole life he was a Democrat. Smiley Help says in 1999, a Democrat in 2001. And then we have Danielson saying President Dementia. That's a new word, ain't it? And Glenn says, I didn't get Lil Wayne out. He didn't get Lil Wayne out of jail. He got his money out of the bank, support his political ideals. Okay. All right. Cool. So, y'all, we're going to switch gears a little bit. We know that Miss Guthrie is still not found. We're on day number 20, I believe. And so there's not a lot of movement, but there's a little bit of something to report on. So let's kind of get into that. I just don't know what to say with this 84-year-old lady, not being found yet. And it's going on almost a month. Almost a month, y'all. Check this out.
You're watching live now. I'm Austin Westfall. Let's head to southern Arizona. A live look at Nancy Guthrie's home, about 4:40 Mountain Time in the Grand Canyon State. Hundreds of law enforcement agents, they're on the case to find Nancy Guthrie since someone kidnapped the 84-year-old from her home 20 days ago. Fox's Asher Red is in Tucson, Arizona. And Asher, we are still waiting to learn more about that DNA that investigators found inside Guthrie's home. What are you hearing?
Well, Austin, that DNA is now being tested in a lab to see whose exactly it is. Meanwhile, the sheriff still hasn't given us a suspect or even a vehicle to be on the lookout for. All we know is that authorities are still looking for the suspect who was caught on Nancy's doorbell camera the night that she went missing. Investigators say the only positive ID they have from this video is the 25-liter Ozark Trail backpack the suspect is wearing. Now, we're about an hour and a half north of the border, and the FBI says they've been in contact with Mexican authorities about Guthrie's disappearance, even though they haven't mentioned getting any official leads connecting to Mexico.
Which makes sense. I mean, we're an hour away from the border here. To not take the geography of the whole situation into consideration, I think would be a huge mistake. You got to imagine if they're trying to evade capture and they're trying to get out from the watchful eye of the local law enforcement and perhaps even the FBI, going across the border is probably their best bet.
The FBI has gotten more than 20,000 tips so far, and the Pima County 911 call center is also getting thousands of tips. Dispatchers have received 10,000 more 911 calls so far this month than they did this time last February. And the dispatch manager says many of these calls are just people who have opinions about the investigation, not actual tips.
When somebody feels that they have a tip, a lead, some sort of information, what we're asking is,
Let me just stop this real fast. Why are people calling into the FBI hotline giving opinions and not tips? Like, why are you calling with an opinion? Okay. Okay, y'all.
that you just take a moment before you call and ask yourself, is this tip viable? Is this tip credible? We want to make sure that we're passing on accurate and factual information to our investigators.
And the sheriff says he's not planning to release any updates on this investigation unless there is a big break in this case over the weekend. Meanwhile, the reward for Nancy's recovery or the arrest and conviction of her kidnapper is now up to over $200,000. Austin?
All right. Asher Red in southern Arizona for us tonight. We appreciate you, Asher. By the way, Fox News with this. Let's pull this up. They say, an eye in the sky, aerial search over a landfill in the search for Nancy Guthrie. I believe we do have video of this in as well. Just going to make sure that we've got this in-house. It looks like we do, in fact, have it. So Fox saying that they are searching landfills in the area. The tip line on your screen is how you can submit information if you happen to have anything. They are looking for any and all leads. That includes video evidence from the general proximity, Guthrie's neighborhood. 1-800-CALL-FBI is the tip line, and I wanted to make sure I brought you a little bit of footage of them as they were processing that area. Michael Ruiz is with Fox News Digital. He says a private helicopter flew what appears to be a comprehensive grid pattern above the Los Reales landfill today. It's about 18 miles from Guthrie's home. While the flight path looks very much like a search pattern, the Pima County Sheriff's Department says that it has not been advised of a private helicopter assisting with this case. Again, a live look at the family home. It's time for us here at Live Now to take a quick break. We'll be right back in a moment.
Wow, y'all. So that's the update. I mean, they're now doing that, flying the plane over the landfill. You remember last week they were talking about they have this technology now where they can fly this aircraft over certain areas, right? And they can pick up the frequency from the pacemaker that she has on her. So, y'all, I don't know. According to, I want to say the sheriff, they said the case is not gone cold, but I mean, they don't have a suspect, to my understanding. I mean, they have these images and things like that, but they don't have any like real leads that have been shared anyway. So I'm sure they're keeping some information close hold, but just from the outside looking in, I just don't know what's gonna happen when it comes to this case. Let me get to the comments, y'all. So we have Smiley Help saying Trump registered as a Republican in Queens in 1969 and in Manhattan in 1987, a member. We have JB2 in the house. Welcome to the check-in saying demon crack. Oh my goodness. We had Smiley Help saying member of the Independence Party, the New York State affiliate of the Reform Party in 1999. Ricky Clark says they are not going to find that poor lady. I tend to agree with him on that. Antonio says Savannah Guthrie was the one who first reported on the Epstein files. I did not know that. I did not know that at all. Now I'm thinking some things here in my mind when it comes to what's going on with her mom. Now that you're saying that she reported first on these Epstein files. We have JB2. Lord, what is JB2 talking about? Sitting in McDonald's eating a sandwich, and a girl just happened to call and say, I think it's him. He has bushy eyebrows. You cannot disappear in the United States because Big Brother cameras are everywhere. That's true. At least that's what I thought, especially if you're in a more urbanized area. I think with her being out in that rural area, they didn't have like the traffic lights and stuff like that in the area in which she lived in, is my understanding. And then they have those homes so spread apart so that some of their, ring light footage may not have picked up anything, right? So we have Ricky Clark saying he's going to bed and he subscribes to the channel. Thank you, Ricky. I know you're gone, but thank you so much for supporting the channel. And for those of you who are still here, please, like, share, comment, and subscribe, support the channel. It is free. Then we have Ricky Clark saying they are a mess. I'm tired though. Good night. All have a great day tomorrow and a good night. Yes, thank you. You too. And we got Antonio saying, I believe it's connected, but who really knows? Exactly. All right, y'all. That's all I had for tonight. If you catch the replay, please comment in the chat. Y'all, I'll be back tomorrow night at 7:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So go ahead on, subscribe, notification, and all that. I need to get the live set up. And yes, y'all, I will see you guys tomorrow night. If you can, try to stay warm, stay dry, and all of that. It is snowing out here in Maryland. So I'm going to be in the house tomorrow, okay? We got Smiley Help saying the longer it takes, the less likely they're going to find her. And Rob Davidson, it says good night. I agree with you, Smile, and good night to you, Mr. Rob Davidson, and good night to all. Have a great night and an even better day tomorrow. See you tomorrow at 7:15 p.m. Eastern. Bye.